If I had the power to turn back time, I would never use it. I don't think about it. Because then every moment that you go through means absolutely nothing, but you can always go back and do it again. So it loses its flavor, it loses its beauty. When things are final, you know, moments won't ever come again. To be able to have the power to go back and re-experience those things it's silly to me. Well, I think you can, you know, what I've been very fortunate is I've been able to find what it is that I love to do at a very early age, which was basketball. And there was no confusion for me in the sense of, this is what I want to do. There's a lot of confusing things to get to that point, like small decisions on a daily basis, but the overall focus, there's no confusion on. And the same thing for me now. Building a studio is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. We're going to have books, we're going to have films, we're going to have TV shows, we're going to have theaters. We're going to do that. Things that we want our children to learn as parents, things like unselfishness, things like discipline, things like focus, things like compassion, empathy, you know, things that you can't learn in the classroom, which is like working with a team, working with a community. Those things are there in basketball. And so the more we can do to raise awareness for the game and to show that it's bigger than just winning and losing, it's bigger than just championships, but there are other lessons that are really important for our children to learn, to grow up, to become great women and men of our society. This book is personal to me. It comes from my inner journey, you know, and I believe that if you're able to tap into your own truth, I think that will unlock the ability for others to find their own through that.
In 2006 against the Toronto Raptors, you scored 81 points, which is second only to Wilt Chamberlain's 100 points. No one has really come close to your total since. People have been in the 60s, including you. You went 28 of 46 shooting, 18 of 20 free throws. You scored 55 in the second half and 28 of your team's final 31 points. There's the scorebook above us that shows the scorebook. And the answer to the trivia question, who was the second leading scorer of that game, is?
I have no
Smush
idea.
Parker. Oh, it's so good. So
What are you at, 4?
he had 13. He had 13. But it was something that if you were watching it, it just kept building.
Now you know why I had to score 81. Tough days, man. That was tough.
If you do look at that lineup, you do understand it.
See, that's, you know, I'm not even going
But at the time, the owner of the Lakers, Jerry Buss, said it was like watching a miracle happen. And for those of us who watched it on TV or were there, it really was one of those things you just couldn't believe was possible. Did you during the game, did you have to sort of like reset your beliefs? I know Lamar Odom was saying you can't get 60, right. You can't get 70. Or did you just let it flow and whatever happened, happened? Or were you really like gunning for numbers?
No, I always dreamed as a kid that, you know, it was possible to score 80 or 90 or 100. I always just like, you know, had a dream. You know, like sometimes you lay down in bed and you visualize things. And you just kind of, you know, that's at least how I would go to sleep. I'd lay down, I'd imagine playing for the Lakers, and I'd imagine what the uniforms look like. I'd imagine where we'd be playing, and you know, the smell of the arena and all sort of stuff. And I would see myself, you know, getting hot, you know, and score 10 straight points. But in a dream, like, why would you ever interrupt that? Like, you're not going to have a dream and be like, okay, and then he misses his next 6. Like, it's not going to happen. So you just keep dreaming and dreaming and dreaming. And before I go to sleep, I'm like at 120 points, you know? And so when you grow up, downloading that into your brain over and over and over, and then, you know, that summer, I made 1,000 shots a day. 1,000, right? That's on top of weight training and my conditioning. I made 1,000 shots, and they weren't just shots. It were shots that you saw in that game. They were specific shots. I mean, it was coming out of the corner, going to the pinch post, footwork in the post, coming off the screen. It was very specific. So when you download that into your system and you go out in the court and you're just executing things that you've done thousands of times before, and you have that dream, then that becomes possible.
Do you think the mentality of hard work started to come in for you at that age when you failed so miserably, I guess, that summer?
I think that's when the idea of understanding a long-term view became important, because I wasn't going to catch these kids in a week. I wasn't going to catch them in a year, right? So that's when I sat down and said, okay, this is going to take some thought, all right? What do I want to work on first? All right, shooting. All right, let's knock this out. Let's focus on this. Half a year, 6 months, do nothing but shoot. Right. After that, all right, creating your own shot. And then you focus. So I started creating a menu of things. When I came back the next summer, I was a little bit better. Right. And
a menu being like, I've got my jump shot from 15. I've got my
I got my jump shot from 15. I got my 3-point shot. Like just open shots, not miss open shots. Right. And be able to shoot it with speed, because those kids are so much more athletic.
Yeah.
And then the next summer I came back, I was a little better. And the summer came back,
you
next summer I was a little better. I scored.
Yeah,
it wasn't much, but I scored.
And this is 12, 13.
12, 13. And then 14 came around, back half of 13, 14 years old, and then I was just killing everyone. And it happened in 2 years. And I wasn't expecting it to happen in 2 years, but it did, because what I had to do was work on the basics and the fundamentals, while they relied on their athleticism and their natural ability. And because I stick to the fundamentals, it just caught up to them. And then my body, my knees stopped hurting. I grew into my frame.
And then your athleticism, once you have the fundamentals,
Exactly.
the hard work, the mindset, and you tack on the athleticism, it's game over.
Then it was game over.
Wow. So from 13, you're good, average still?
I was good. I was good. And then about the end of my third, like right when I was turning 14, I became the best player in the state.
At 14?
At 14.
So from 12 to 14, you went from scoring 0 to being the best in the state of all ages.
Yep. But it's simple. Like if you do the math on this, right? Like if you're thinking about how often kids are playing, right? And I tell this to my daughter and my daughter's team as well that I coach. It's a simple thing of math. If you want to be a great player, if you play every single day, 2-3 hours, every single day, over the course of a year, how much better are you getting? Most kids will play maybe, an hour and a half, 2 days a week.
Right.
Do the math on that.
It's
not going to get it done. It's not going to get it done, right? So if you're obsessively training 2-3 hours every single day over a year, over 2 years,
You're accelerate.
you make quantum leaps, man.
Just doing a summer camp for 2 weeks, you see a difference. I remember playing basketball growing up.
You
It's
see
like
it.
You get a lot better, and you come back
Yes.
more confident playing on the playground with guys who used to beat you.
Yeah, and I tell the parents on my team, I said it's when I say your kids are going to become great basketball players, and they're like, really? I'm like, yeah, it's not. There's no
Math.
It's it.
Show up every single day.
Show up every single day, do the work.
Next up is the next pillar: be obsessive. Obsessive. That's I think a lot of people equate that with you. Kobe is obsessive in a lot of things. We've been doing this for what, 8 years now, Asia tour. I've been with you for a long way. The one moment that stands out of we've done, I don't know how many done. We've done what, 800 events. The one time was 4 a.m. We went out to practice at 4 a.m. And that was your idea to do it.
But
and then all these Nike people are like, no, let's not do that. And then you're like, let's do it at 4 a.m. So you got security, you got brand marketing, sports marketing going, no, let's not do it. You're like, let's do it, because that's your obsessiveness, right?
I mean, to me, it just makes complete sense.
Not to us.
But I don't like. Okay, so
See,
all right.
Usually I'm sleeping at 4 a.m. You're
Yeah.
working out. So
Well,
talk about that.
Okay, so if your job is to try to be the best basketball player you can be, right? To do that, you have to practice, you have to train, right? You want to train as much as you can, as often as you can. So if you get up at 10 in the morning, train at 11, right? 12, say 12, train at 12, train for 2 hours, 12 to 2. You have to let your body recover. So you eat, recover, whatever. You get back out, you train, start training again at 6. Train from 6 to 8, right? And now you go home, you shower, you eat dinner, you go to bed, you wake up, you do it again, right? Those are 2 sessions, right? Now imagine you wake up at 3, you train at 4. You go 4 to 6, come home, breakfast, relax, blah, blah, blah. Now you're back at it again, 9 to 11, right? You relax, and now all of a sudden you're back at it again, 2 to 4, and now you're back at it again, 7 to 9. Look how much more training I have done by simply starting at 4, right? And so now you do that, and as the years go on, the separation that you have with your competitors and your peers just grows larger and larger and larger and larger and larger. And by year 5 or 6, doesn't matter what kind of work they do in the summer, they're never going to catch up because they're 5 years behind. Right? So it makes sense to get up and start your day early because you can get more work in.
Is that genetic? Or is that something you ingrained and trained yourself?
No, it was
Who
just,
taught you that?
For me, it was just common sense. Like I can if I start earlier, I can train more hours, and I know the other guys aren't doing it because I know what their training schedule is, right? So I know if I do this consistently over time, the gap's just going to widen and widen and widen and widen and widen, and they won't be able to get that back. Mm-hmm. So to me, it was just common sense. I'm like thinking, how can I get an advantage? Oh, start earlier. Yeah, let's do that.
So this is funny. I think I would have had a difficult time walking on the court with a sprained ankle, let alone a torn Achilles. So what was going on in your head at that moment, and how did you push past that pain? Because that's like one of the Kobe moments, right?
The pain wasn't important. You know, the most important thing was winning that game. You know what I mean? So the pain, I was trying to think of how to get around it. So it wasn't like I was, okay, this thing hurts, I gotta try to deal with it. That wasn't the thought process. The thought process was, how can I get through this for 2 minutes to be a threat on the court so we can win this damn game, right? So as I'm walking, I'm trying to figure out different ways to walk, because if when you tear your Achilles, it's like a spring. So I can't go on my toe. I just can't do it. So I try to walk on my heel and try to kind of take step by step, see if I can walk on my heel, see if maybe I can run on my heel. And so that was the thought process, man. It's trying to figure out how I can play with this thing. And then I started feeling the Achilles roll up my calf. And I was like,
You literally feel that.
Yeah,
Oh,
you feel
man.
it sliding up. I was like, I probably should go sit down.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
Probably go sit down. I'd probably go sit down. But if you think about it though, like if you look at players that get injured, for example, or you may have a cramp or something like that. If you take a person that pulls a hamstring, pops a hammy, can't play, team shelves you for 2-3 weeks, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
All right, now this player is sitting at home, sitting on the couch, watching TV, whatever it may be, resting the hamstring, right? Kids are upstairs doing whatever, right? Wife's around, whatever. And all of a sudden, a massive fire breaks out in the home. And you got to go get your kids. You're not going to say, you know what?
My hamstring. Yeah.
Sorry, kids. Right? You're going to get up,
Yeah.
and you're going to run.
Yeah.
You're going to grab your kids. You're going to do what you need to do to
Right.
get your family
Right.
safe. Right? You're not going to feel your
Yeah,
hamstring.
absolutely.
Right? It's not important enough. It's not important enough. And if winning is that important to you, then the injuries don't matter.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or the obstacles, or the excuses, or
Doesn't matter.
nothing.
Doesn't matter.
I love that.
Earlier you said, I'm probably not going to get this right, a 16-year-old, a 13 or 11-year-old?
Yeah, 13. 16, 13, 2, and 1 that's a month.
One that's a month, by the way, right? One that's a month.
All girls.
All girls, 444. So 16 means you're in your sixth year having a baby?
Yeah.
Is it something like that, right? Give or take. What was the conversation like with your wife to say, listen, this is the schedule? Because look, some entrepreneurs, they're coming home at night and late, oh my gosh, my wife is upset because I came home at 11:30.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, what a sacrifice I'm making. This life's, I don't know if I can do this.
Sure.
You're on the road 9 months out of the year. If you
Sure.
especially played the Olympics, you won 2 gold medals, so you're doing that on the off season and you're trying to get that part going and training for doing your camps. What is the conversation like with your wife and kids to say, listen, this is what I'm doing? How did that conversation go?
Well, with the kids, it's different. So, like, the communication with our children is that, Pops is working hard. This is the level of attention to detail you need to have in everything you do. So it's setting the example. Same thing with my wife. My wife's a stay-at-home wife. It's the hardest job, man. Right? So she works really hard at that. I mean, it's, and so her attention to detail with that as well are examples for our children. And then for my wife, it's, she's as competitive as I am. So she's like, listen, man, if you're going to be out here training 8 hours a day, if you're going to spend 9 months out of the year away from your family, you better fucking win the championship. What are we doing this for? What are we doing?
That.
What are we doing?
I love that.
You know, but it's a balancing act, and that's the thing that's important, is understanding that we have to have so much energy. Because for like Natalia and Gianna when they were babies, especially Natalia because she was doing prime years, and I go to practice and I'd train and I'd play the game and I'd come home and I'd be sore and I'd be tired, and she wants to go swimming, she wants me to take her to the park, she wants to just jump on my back or whatever the case may be. You can't say, I'm too tired, I'm going to lay down. That's not fair. She don't know what the hell's going on, right? And if this was a game, you'd suck it up and play. I play games with the flu. I play games with 102-degree fever, man.
Powerful.
You can't do that.
That is so powerful,
right?
man.
You got to be on, man.
That's big. Did you guys, would you sit at the, because you're obviously very detailed, your show. I mean, you're a very, very detailed guy. Would you guys have a meeting, like I sit there and say, okay, if I'm thinking like Kobe, let's just say Kobe's trying to schedule out his year, season's about to start. Would you sit with her and say, okay, babe, this is the schedule next 12 months. Tell me about birthdays. Tell me about this.
Yes.
Is that what you guys do?
Yeah, I look at it and say, okay, birthdays, what am I missing? Valentine's Day, Halloween, Christmas, Easter, like all that fun stuff. I look at the schedule and see what I'm there for, what I'm not there for. Christmas, is it a road game or a home game this year? And then we make a family decision. It's family travel. Do I come back? Like sometimes I'd fly back. Like I'd play a game, and to not miss my daughter's birthday, I'd fly back, be there for her birthday, and then fly back with the team, just to make sure I don't miss anything.
Respect.
A lot of people in general are afraid of failure. How did you become one of those people who doesn't seem to be afraid of failing?
Failures, it doesn't exist. It's not existent. What the hell does that mean? Seriously, what does failure mean? It's not, it doesn't exist. It's a figment of your imagination. What does it mean?
You're pulling a Jedi mind trick on me right now. I was like, does it exist?
No, I'm serious. I'm trying to think, how can I explain it? So, let's use happy endings, right? And then we can relate this to failure, why it's not existent. Everybody talks about, everybody wants a happy ending, right? Now let's go to the reality of it, right? Let's look at a fairy tale story. Let's look at Snow White. Mm-hmm. She gets a happy ending, she finds Prince, whatever, she goes on, she lives happily ever after. Well, I call bullshit on that because 2 months later, the fact is they had an argument and he's sleeping on the couch, right? So the point is, the story continues. The story continues. So if you fail on Monday, the only way it's a failure on Monday is if you decide to not progress from that, right? So to me, that's why failure is not existent. Because, if I fail today, okay, I'm going to learn something from that failure, and I'm going to try again on Tuesday. And I fail, and I'm going to try again on Wednesday. So it doesn't exist.
You know what? Should my ratings go in the tank? That's exactly what I'm going to say to the boss. Hey, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, but you know what?
We should try it again on Thursday.
If your ratings go in the tank, and which they won't, but if they did, you had learned a valuable lesson. You had learned a bunch of ways of how not to make a show that sucks. So then the next one will be better than the last one, right?
So are you telling me then, let's just say all the career statistics that you've compiled, they all still exist, still play for the Lakers, and all of that still happens. If you finished your career without a championship, you would not have looked at that as a failure?
No, I would have looked at it as being extremely disappointed because I had a dream and I had goals that I wanted to accomplish, right? And if I don't accomplish those goals, I have to ask myself why, right? And so from my position, the reason why I would not have accomplished those things is poor leadership, failure to communicate properly with my teammates to put them in positions to be successful, lack of preparation, all those things would be reasons why I don't win, right? So now, if that was the case, in my career, I have to sit and I have to analyze that, and then as I move and I evolve, post-basketball into business or whatever, those same weaknesses are going to reveal themselves there, right? So if I don't learn from that, I'm going to struggle here too, right? So I can take those situations and learn from those and have them, make me a better person later in life. But if I don't take that stuff and apply that someplace else, then that's failing, which to me is the worst possible thing you could ever have is to stop and to not learn.
How do you want to be remembered? What matters to you in this whole discussion of, okay, Kobe's last year? What do you want people to think of?
I've always said that I wanted to be remembered as a player that didn't waste a moment, didn't waste a day. And I felt extremely blessed by the God-given talent. But at the same time, I didn't take it for granted at all. And so if I could be remembered as a person that was born with a lot of talent, but did everything he could to try to overachieve, that lived every day as if he was the 12th guy on the bench, I think that's a very powerful message to have, and something that hopefully the players that are now and players that'll come later choose to embody as well.
The lesson I cherish the most is how important it is to love what you do. If you love what you do and it's making you happy, all the hard work and perseverance will pay off. I once had a guidance counselor tell me that I shouldn't play basketball, that it would never amount to anything for me. His negativity towards me made me stronger. You can't stop people from trying to limit your dreams, but you can stop it from becoming a reality. Your dreams are up to you. I encourage you to always be curious, always seek out things you love, and always work hard once you find it. Please know I'm thinking of you, supporting you, and encouraging you always. Peace.